This Thanksgiving, there's a new watchword gripping the nation: affordability. The price of goods and services are top of mind for many, many Americans, and they are going to be one of the issues at stake in the midterm elections. But despite the griping, the economy is actually better than it looks. In his piece, the U.S. economy is doing great. Weird, right? Peter Coy argues that Trump's economy is stronger than it's given credit for. GDP growth is expected to be at an annual rate of nearly 4% for the third quarter, almost twice the Federal Reserve's 1.8% long-run forecast. Unemployment is holding at 4.4%, well under the 5.7% average since 2000, showing a strong, still tight labor market. Yes, inflation is still high, but workers' inflation-adjusted weekly pay rose 0.8% from the first quarter and 2.2% from a year ago. So why is Trump still getting a bad rap? Well, according to some new data, it's not the Trump economy so much as a deeper systematic problem whereby the classic hallmarks of a middle-class life, housing, healthcare, childcare, and education, have gotten just unbelievably expensive. The federal poverty line for a family of four is officially $32,000. But investment manager Michael Green says it should really be $140,000. Childcare costs an average of $32,000 a year. Housing is another $23,000. Add in food, healthcare, other essentials, and you need $118,000 just to get by. The median income rose to a new height this year of $83,000 a year, and that sounds great until you realize it's just about $40,000 shy of a family being able to cover all of their bills. No wonder people are feeling strapped. With us now is Peter Coy, author of the Substack Economics for Everyone, and that wonderful piece. So, Peter, tell us, if the economy is doing so well, why don't the American people feel it?
The numbers you read are exactly correct. And I have to say it's a little bit hard to explain sometimes because, indeed, the numbers show low, reasonably low inflation, reasonably low unemployment. These are the key measures, the standard measures of how an economy is doing. And yet, if you look at the most recent University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index, which just came out last Friday, it's down at levels that we normally see only in a serious recession. We saw numbers going down like that after the COVID recession and way back to 1980 when the economy was in a deep recession after the inflation of the 1970s. So it really is a mystery that needs to be explained. I tried to do so in my Substack article that you mentioned. And by the way, I just want to say, Batya, I want to thank you for having me on, because I feel like the audience that I'm trying to reach is very similar to the audience you're trying to reach, and hope people will follow me on Substack. But to get to it, I think the numbers you just showed there from Green are interesting too, that you should never dismiss what the members of the public tell you. You don't just tell them, no, you're wrong, things are actually fine. This has actually been a problem for President Trump because he's been saying we have the best economy ever, and Americans are looking at that and saying, I don't feel it. It doesn't seem like that to me. This is a problem a lot of presidents have. It's not just Trump. President Biden had the same problem. He wanted to say, hey, things are getting better after the COVID recession, and Americans didn't want to hear it. That's a big reason that Kamala Harris did not get elected, because Trump came to them and said, things are not going well.
Right. So speaking of Trump, I loved your piece. There was only one line in it that I took issue with, which is you said, I don't want to give Trump any credit, trust me. But I guess my question is, I mean, he's done a lot to make the economy as strong as it is, whether it's attracting all this investment, you know, which big part of what the tariffs have accomplished, bringing down the price of energy, which has helped the cost of some goods, being very responsive in the tariff regime, saying, okay, this area is not working, we're going to bring them down here, we're going to bring them up here. But you are so reluctant to acknowledge that any of this good stuff might be due to the commander-in-chief.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long discussion. I mean, I happen to think that Trump, the tariffs overall have not been net good for the economy. And the very fact that Trump is rolling back selective tariffs on things like meat tells you that he understands that they've added to the cost of living. I think another mistake Trump made was by promising people when he was running for office that he was going to reduce prices. He didn't just say, I'm going to curb the rate of inflation. He said, I'm going to lower prices. Well, prices almost never fall.
Yeah.
And the only time they tend to fall is during a deep recession. So he made a promise that he couldn't keep, and it was pretty obvious back then that that was impossible. And it's now people are saying, what about that promise you made? Well, he actually has not done too bad on inflation. As we said, the inflation rate is not that high, but compared to what he promised, it doesn't look good.
And I mean, another thing to point out is, you know, if inflation comes down too much, wages will follow as well. Peter Coy, thank you so much. Such interesting points. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to bring in some voices to react. Corrie Zech, a healthcare worker and mother of 3. Evan Barker, a political strategist and author of Nothing Left, Confessions of a Democratic Operative. And Gord Magill, a truck driver and author of End of the Road, Inside the War on Truckers. You guys, thank you all so much for joining me. So I guess I just kind of want to start by hearing what are the big struggles for you in terms of affordability. Corrie, let's start with you. What is the thing you're most struggling to afford right now?
It has to be groceries. I think the cost of food, especially with a family of 5 like I have, is the #1 thing that we haven't been able to come back from. There's been a lot of talk about creating a healthier America, you know, with all the changes to SNAP and the things you can and can't buy. I don't personally have SNAP for my family because our income is too much to get it, but I know a lot of people who do. And I think that groceries and food is like the #1 thing that we have an issue trying to keep in our home. It has become cheaper to eat a meal out at a fast food restaurant than it is to go to the store and get enough food to make a fresh meal at home. So,
wow, I mean, that's a crazy thing to hear. Just thinking about the cost of groceries being worse than eating out. Gord, when you hear affordability, what does that mean to you? What are you hoping to see change over the next few years?
Affordability sort of implies having high enough wages to be able to buy things. In my particular sector, trucking has probably been in the worst it's ever been. Freight rates are in the toilet. Many American trucking companies have been going out of business left, right, and center. The cost of doing business is very high. The industry hasn't been able to wash out all of the sort of insourced migrant labor that came in under Biden. So the trucking industry is a mess. My own personal affordability stuff, and for many people, is transportation. Cars, fixing cars. If your car breaks down, that can break a family because the price of parts is so high, the price of labor is so high, insurance is high, which is related to all the extra people being here who maybe shouldn't be. So that's what I'm thinking about this right now.
Evan, you left the Democratic Party because you felt that they didn't take issues surrounding working class dignity seriously enough. Where are you at right now in terms of the political question here? What policies are you hoping to see?
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to say, you know, my family back in Missouri has been really struggling over the last couple of years, especially since 2020. My mom and my grandma are on a fixed income. They both rely on their Social Security checks. And this year, seniors did not get they didn't get much of an increase at all, actually, in Social Security, only about 2.8%. And so I think it would be great if Congress could do something to expand Social Security benefits for people that rely on a fixed income. Maybe we could see price caps. I'd also like to see the president go on a tour, much like LBJ did back in the 1960s, to talk to people in their communities directly to find out what they're feeling. I would really, really caution the GOP making the same mistake that the Democrats did in 2024, where they ignored the pain of the American people. I think that could be really catastrophic for the midterms.
Corrie, is there a policy that you could point to that would help your family?
I think raising the income limits both federally and in the states would help. Adjusting the income limits to SNAP benefits and Medicaid benefits and housing benefits would really help a lot more families be able to afford places to live, food in their homes, afford health care. So I really would like to see a revisit to maybe the minimum wage, the federal minimum wage, as well as seeing more states revisit their minimum wages and income guidelines for those benefits.
Gord, what about you? What policy do you think would help?
As far from my from my world of trucking, it's been good to see Secretary Duffy make some moves. I would encourage President Trump to keep moving in that direction and maybe not listen to lobbyists so much where it concerns the fate of workers and actually talk to working class people in order to figure out what we really need.
So, Evan, you have in Corrie the kind of Democrats' answer, which is supplying more benefits and more help. And then you have in Gord more the Republican answer, which is that immigration and specifically deportations helps a lot with affordability. Where do you fall?
Well, I think they're both right. I think in an ideal world, we would blend both of those methods together and help the American people.
So well said, Corrie, Evan, Gord. God bless you all. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for joining us. This was really special for me, and I'm sure for our viewers as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.